Wow. Comments are up and I wasn't even on. This is a surprise. This should be really good. God. Who? This whole town is full of fake people. And telling you what, August 19th is going to be a lot more interesting, knowing that we know that she knows that we know that she's fake. I mean, we're going to watch a clip. YB is a member for 7 months. Thank you, YB, very much for bringing what you do to our chat. He did not mince words, Great Dane lady. Luckily, several of you were kind enough to send me a note saying that this was on, and I was like, what? Stephen Webster's doing what? And I was applauding at home. I was like, finally an attorney with a backbone, and that's all I ever need to see. Like, an attorney with a backbone. Because many of the others don't have one. You can all name names. They just don't have one. It's hard to have a backbone. I try really hard to have one. It's challenging. It is challenging, especially in a town like this where my politics aren't shared by 98% of the town. It is really hard to have a backbone and say, no, I'm not going to do it your way. I'm going to do it this way. And if things go bad, they go bad, right? But it's hard. And him to do that to another licensed attorney, I knew there was something up with that. I'm going to pull up the article when she went hog wire. Hold on. When she lost her, it was 2015. So we'll bring the article in. But it's a mess. Come on with the whole freaking, you can't, even if I were to spend money again on the Tallahassee Democrat, you can't get out of the ads. You can't even read an article that you're paying for because of the ads. It's horrible. I know they have to make money. They're shitty newspapers anyway, so there is that. Let's see. Let's go to the chat real quick. Ooh, it's my lucky week. 2 lives while I'm at home. Well, thank you, Tennis Girl, very much. Great Dane lady, thank you so much for joining us. I couldn't resist today. Couldn't resist. I had errands to run most of this afternoon. I had an appraisal to do. And then I got Chris and I appointment while I knew I would have time this month. So I got him into my eye doctor. His eyes hadn't changed. That's good news. And I said, I'm going back to work because I'm going on YouTube because I'm going to talk about Jackie Fulford. And he's like, who? Like, doesn't matter. Hi, Norma. How are you? How are you? Hey, Sheepfly. I saw you in the STS chat last night. Why would she do it? What was she doing on those days off? Was she just upset because that Kathy Ray? I wonder if I can find her obituary. The lady who actually passed away of cancer. Oh, yeah. She died in 2016. She died in hospital. She was only 52. So we'll go into that. Poor thing. She looks sick now. She definitely looks sick. Like her before and after photos are. How great was Webster last night? I know. I can't believe he did it. Took a lot of backbone. But I think her filing that Jackie Fulford. Okay, let's start at the beginning. I'm Patty Wilson, and this is Patty's Playhouse, and we talk true crime. And I'm in Tallahassee, Florida, which was the home of Dan Markel, and he was shot July 2014. His ratchet former mother-in-law is about to stand trial next week for the murder of him. He was shot several times in his garage by hitmen. And Donna doesn't want to accept responsibility, so she's going to testify on a double extortion or whatever nonsense. Didn't work the first time, won't work the second. And I'm very excited about that. Well, she's on her second round of attorneys, and Josh Zellman is one. And someone is sending me a message saying it looks like he's dipping tobacco into his cup, like he's spitting into his cup. So I'm going to try and find a video of him where he has the cup in his hand and see if he's spitting tobacco into a cup. That's what she thinks it is. So we'll see. And his co-counsel is Jackie Fulford. So immediately, I live here, obviously, and immediately I was like, Jackie Fulford, she owns a freaking funeral home. She does. She owns it's Young Fulford Funeral Home. She has grown children. It's an odd mix, but I think it was her I don't know if he's still alive, to be honest with you. Her former partner, I don't know if he's alive. He could be. I apologize to the family and him if he's still alive. And was a judge in Wakulla County, which we're going to go into. And when she was a judge, she had some ethical issues. She was telling her employees that if they didn't vote for, at the time, Sheriff David Harvey, who's now a real estate broker and a little like real estate magnate in this county, Wakulla is what it's called, Wakulla, that she would fire him. Like they had to vote for Sheriff Harvey. And she was so intent. Like she had a cardboard, they have those cardboard cutouts of people or, celebrities you could take a picture of. She had a cardboard cutout of David Harvey in her office. Like that's how intent she was. So it went before the Supreme Court of Florida, and she was required to retire. How she kept her law license is beyond me. I think they should clear out the trash, to be honest with you. But she has it, and for some reason, Josh Zellman wrangled her up somewhere, and she is now the co-counsel for Donna Adelson. Well, last night, if you watched Surviving the Survivor, Joe Patuto was on, Stephen Webster, and then this other female law professor I had not seen before. And I don't know her name, so it doesn't really matter. Stephen Webster gets on, and within like 6.5 minutes, starts spilling his guts. So I pray STS doesn't, I understand that, but still, you can't threaten people. If we all had to deal with Donna, we'd be stressed and sick. So I'm going to show you now the article that was in the Democrat long time ago. 2015, 9/30/2015. Says Circuit Judge Jackie L. Fulford, career on the bench ended Wednesday as her order involuntary retirement because of a physical disability. The disability interferes with her performance as a judge. That is, talk about gerrymandering. Justices wrote in their final order, all 6 justices, Labarga, were in agreement with the Judicial Qualifications Commission in late August recommended mandatory retirement. Tell me this is 10 years. She looks nothing like this now. Fulford was being investigated by the JQC on charges of improprieties while she served on the bench in Wakulla County. She's the second former Judicial Circuit Chief Assistant State Attorney who was appointed to the bench in 2009 and ran unopposed in 2010. I just don't even understand it. Here's the misconduct charge. She's facing charges brought by the state's JQC over alleged improprieties while serving on the bench in McCulloch County. The 5-page notice of formal charges filed with the Supreme Court, was I spitting on, Tuesday cited several instances of alleged inappropriate conduct in 12 and 13, including publicly opposing a candidate for elected office, using her position to influence attorneys, and helping the son of her significant other in a domestic battery case. How does she have a license? What is she willing to do to win a trial? Take that leap forward. Your actions constitute a pattern of misconduct which raises serious questions regarding your fitness to perform the duties of the office you now hold. Fulford, a former Second Judicial Circuit Chief Assistant State Attorney who was appointed to the bench in 2009, ran unopposed in 10, will have 20 days to file answer. Her seat is up for re-election in 16. Fulford, assigned now as the circuit judge in Franklin County, is being represented by a Tampa-based attorney, which is a smart thing to do, Jack E. Fernandez. When asked for comment, she respects the JQC. Well, apparently she doesn't respect much else. The notice of charges said as a prosecutor and later as a judge, Fulford maintained a well-known close relationship with longtime McCulloch County Sheriff David Harvey, which resulted in the appearance of impropriety and violated judicial conduct rules prohibiting judges from publicly endorsing or opposing a candidate for office. Now, full disclosure, I know David Harvey. He's very nice. He's very gentlemanly. He's a hell of an investor. I know that too. But he's always been very nice to me. I have nothing negative to say about him. In the run-up to the county's contentious 12 sheriff's election, the filing said a bailiff assigned to a courtroom indicated he did not support Harvey, who was retiring and backing WCSO Major Maurice Langston against Charlie Creel. Fulford allegedly told the bailiff, anyone who votes for Charlie Creel will not work for me. Within days, Harvey fired the bailiff from his position at the courthouse, and he was relieved of all other duties at the sheriff's office. For several months, Fulford also kept in office a life-size cutout of Harvey that was visible to anyone who entered her chambers and at times could be seen by people seated in the courtroom. In addition, the JQC alleged Fulford asked a defense attorney who had a pending motion before her to represent another client without charge. The attorney said he feared if he did not do as the judge asked, it might result in an unfavorable ruling on the motion for his client and face up to 15 years in prison. Your solicitation of the attorney to perform these services was an inappropriate use of your position and violation of the canons. Well, they have canons. Shocked. Finally, the JQC said Fulford used her influence, friendships, and position to interject herself in a criminal prosecution of Trey Young. So that was her significant other, and he is the son of young Fulford, which is the funeral home with whom she lives. Hours after Young was arrested in early 2013 on misdemeanor domestic battery, the filing said Fulford contacted the prosecutor in the case, who was her subordinate just prior to her becoming judge. She also tried to help Young's defense attorney obtain a deferred prosecution agreement, which if complete would result in charges being dropped, going so far as to personally draft the agreement and submit it for the approval. John Fuchs, he is often seen next to Georgia. He's a big guy, real tall, with gray hair. He's just really big. He's just overall looks like a football player. His name is John Fuchs, or Fox, who worked the case, declined to comment, but said Young would have been granted the agreement without the judge's involvement. Fulford also visited Young while he was in jail, often during non-visiting hours, the filing noted, and met with him in a private office. She sent numerous texts to jail staff seeking a psych eval of Young, met him when he was released from jail, and escorted him to the courthouse to meet with his pretrial officer. After the deferred prosecution agreement was signed, Fulford attended a meeting in the state attorney office, in which the filing said, you admitted that you were advocating for the DPA, not as a judge, but as a friend. Is that it? I think that's it. Not exactly what you want in a judge or an attorney. Hey, Roberta, how are you? I mean, really. It's just not a good thing. It's just not. Hi, Arlene. How are you? I mean, this proves to me they didn't really have a lot of choice when picking a local attorney here. They really didn't. They just did. Their attorneys are crap, big bucks for lousy counsel. Hey, Debbie, how are you? Can't be a judge, but can be a defense attorney on a murder case. I know. Doesn't make sense. Do you remember that taped call between Charlie and Donna who suggested drug dealer killed Dan at the time? The podcaster said that destroys the fake extortion story. No, I don't. I just don't remember it. Thanks, Debbie. She says there was something online about her stepson or son-in-law. It was her boyfriend's. I wonder if he's still alive. It takes a certain kind of lawyer to take on the Adelson criminal acts. Is alcohol. Is alcoholism a physical disability? She aged 15 years and lost about 30 pounds. I mean, she looks thin. Physical disability, my ass. Well, I mean, that's what, if you have this, and I'm not an attorney, let me put it up here because you know how that goes. I'm a nurse in the state of Pennsylvania. How does that happen? If you need a psych eval and mandatory counseling, how can you stay an attorney? Like, do you have to test back in? I don't know. Seems very odd to me. Alcoholism is an occupational hazard of the criminal defense bar. Thank you, Eric. And Eric is back to spelling. He's back to spelling. She has aged a lot. How did they uncover the fake cancer claim? He didn't say, but we're going to watch it in a minute. Imagine the irony if Fulford is sick now with maybe C. She's evil nonetheless. Remember, Fulford says she's old and has to use huge font on her computer, and Donna's deaf. Someone I was chatting with last night, they called me, said that there are privacy screens. So you can put a privacy screen on your computer, and so no one can see it. There's that kind of thing. Her and Donna make a great team, right, Marta? She's in some big trouble. Good time, fake illness. I know. I'm so glad he brought that up. I can't believe he did it. Like, right before the trial starts. I hope it throws her. Maybe Susan can email Patty, who can then keep us updated without us all piling on. Susan was to start her chemo this week. I don't know. Yeah. So the gal, this is the attorney that Stephen Webster was referencing, Roberta, last night. Let me take the banner down for a minute. Her name was Kathy Ray. Catherine Margaret Ray passed away at the hospice house here in Tallahassee. She was born in Portsmouth, lived in London, England, along with various other places with military family, went to high school in Newport Richey. Moved back to Tallahassee after law school to be close to her mom and found her calling helping victims of domestic sexual abuse and violence. She was preceded in death by her father in 98. A memorial service was held. So apparently, she only died in 16. So, it was Life Song. I was like, I wanted to know who the funeral home was, but it wasn't hers. So what attorney Stephen Webster says, so if you're not familiar with the case, Dan Markel was killed before he had a very contentious divorce to the point of the binder is like at least 10 inches thick. And that was up for this defense didn't even want the binder to be seen in the courtroom. So the state won that battle of the war, that the binder can be used as a demonstrative. And of course, if the door's open, then they can walk right through it and use that binder. But it is used as a demonstrative to show the complete case file, which makes sense as a courtroom watcher, that if they only had portions of it out, then the defense is going to come out and motion or demand that that be removed because it's only a portion, it's not the whole thing, can't be evidence, blah, blah, blah. Because that's what the games they're playing. And they're playing a lot of games right now. So even like with the mishap with Tim Jansen, I still believe that was a game. Somebody baited, he took the bait, went on Surviving Survivor, and that's what happened. There are more bots in larger YouTube chats talking about, doesn't Donna look beautiful? Isn't Wendy smart? No, those are paid bots. Like, that's not real because she doesn't look beautiful and Wendy isn't that smart. She's conniving, evil maybe, but like a lot of people speak two languages, okay? It's not just her. They do have more Donna trolls right now on different podcasts. She's hiring, and yeah, a couple of people thought she might hire people to sit in the courtroom on her behalf to kind of keep the media out. Yeah, someone said Donna looks beautiful. They did. Someone please explains JF cancer. Okay, I'm going to play it, Margaret. I'm going to play it, and hopefully Surviving the Survivor doesn't get upset with me.
If I wanted to, but I don't, because people don't come to me because they're having a good day. They come to me because they're having probably one of the worst incidents in their life, is why they come to me. And having press stories about the worst day of their life is really rarely behooves them. Um, so it's just not my style. Um, but kind of given the circumstances where I was at that point, I was honestly kind of desperate. I agreed to do it, and with the Markel's blessing. And frankly, I take umbrage. Jackie Fulford, she kind of took a shot at me, in my opinion, and her motion in limine to keep my testimony out of the record. She pointed out at the end of her motion that I've appeared on podcasts, and it was really gratuitous, in my opinion. I can only assume that she was trying to suggest that I'm out for like media glory or fame, and I don't need it. I don't want it, and I don't need it. My fame and my glory is who I am as a man and as a father of my children, and hopefully a husband of my wife. Um, and frankly, I knew Jackie, you know, for a long time when she was faking cancer. She had me believing she was dying of cancer for years, me and my wife. While one of our mutual best friends was actually dying of cancer. And she had us believing she was dying of cancer. It turned out that wasn't true. Okay. So, frankly, she wants to take a shot at me. Like, she'll never hold me in judgment, ever, because I have absolutely no respect for that woman. Okay. Um, Kathy Ray was a prosecutor we worked with that was one of Jackie's dearest friends, one of my wife's dearest friends, one of my dear friends, somebody who was an amazing human being. Kathy Ray fought for the little people. She she like prosecuted the most horrific cases, and won. She was amazing, and she was dying of cancer, while Jackie had me believing she was also dying of cancer, which it turned out that there was no evidence to ultimately support that. So anyway, so you asked that question. That's a long-winded answer, but I wanted to get that off my chest. I came here tonight
Yeah.
to say that here and now.
Webster, thank you so much, man. For those who do not know Stephen Webster, he is all heart, man. This guy's on vacation across the Atlantic, and he is all integrity, all heart. Not everyone's that way. I can attest to that. But the question here is weighed up. Jackie Fulford faked having cancer. I got to get Joe and Dr. Hamilton in for a second, but Stephen, I don't even really know the whole story. So just if we can do it kind of in a concise manner, she was on the bench as a judge. She's now done as attorney. She got in some sort of trouble and then apparently turned to a story that she had cancer but didn't. Can you just kind of round that out for us a little bit, Stephen?
Yeah, so I was I was a young prosecutor. I was old. I went to law school later in life, but in terms of my professional career, I was young as a lawyer. And she was my supervisor, and she was honestly a great supervisor. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Jackie was a great trial attorney. She was. I felt like she did the job with a high level of ethics. Um, I remember I had a case that involved methamphetamines, and when we were like all about taking down meth people, and I didn't think I could establish a prima facie case of guilt. I went to her, and she was my supervisor, and she said, "You need to drop the case," which took a lot of courage for her to say at that time. But anyway, so we worked closely together. I mean, as anybody can probably understand, when you work in any sort of environment, you become more than just coworkers. You become colleagues and ultimately, oftentimes, friends. And we believed that she was our friend. She officiated my wedding. She read the vows at my wedding. And in the midst of this, it was kind of when Lance Armstrong was going through his cancer stuff. She had us believing that she had cancer. And she would leave and be out of the office for what we believed were cancer treatments and things like that. It just kind of like went on, and like I didn't think anything of it. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know how that works. And I know cancer can raise its head in many various forms. So it went on, and as I already spoke about, one of our colleagues and friends, loved ones, Kathy Ray, actually got cancer, and it was a pretty vicious cancer and took her out, unfortunately, in a couple of years. And like while that was going on, Jackie had us believing that she was also fighting a similar battle. And as I haven't reviewed her medical records, but when it all came out, and I do believe it was part of the complaints with respect to that were filed with respect to her sitting as a judge, that ultimately she stepped down from the bench as a settlement, involved those false allegations. And I believe there was some sort of mental health counseling that was required as part of the settlement. But no, it doesn't sit right with us over here. Okay. Yeah. Those of us that knew Kathy, right? Like, first of all, it's gross, period. Just as a human being, any of us who've lived, we've known people that, were either afflicted with cancer, died of cancer, or their families were affected by it. So, I mean, just there and there, like it stops. But for us, it's much deeper, because while we were watching Kathy fade away from us and we were losing her, we came to realize at the same time, it appeared that there was this sham going on being perpetrated by Jackie at the same time. So, yeah. So she can take shots at me if she wants, but she'll never hold me in judgment, ever.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. And if that is true,
stand by. So let me explain. Brian Sorney, right here, Brian Sorney Radio. Brian Sorney has a radio show on my radio station where I have my radio show. I just put in Google search Jackie Fulford cancer to see what came up. And this is what came up. So this is going to be audio of her and Young. This is Young. This is Jackie before her life fell apart, apparently. I don't know. This is 2019. So it's after her life fell apart. So it's after she lost her judgeship. And they talk about cancer. I don't know how long it is. I literally just pulled it up. I'll try to skip through it.
Young Fulford Funeral Home and Crematory is owned by Skip Young, Jackie Fulford. They're with us here this morning in our business spotlight. Welcome to youngsters here who have an idea that is based in a very strong commitment to loving people who are in need and working hard to make sure that those needs are met. In their own words, they say, we treat people like they are our own family. Jackie, how are you this morning?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you.
Nice to have you with us. I'm glad that you addressed me as sir, because that is not something I normally get around here.
I'm from the South.
Are you? Yeah. I need more respect. No question about it. Skip, do you get any respect out there, anywhere, anytime?
From time to time.
Sometimes. So this is a business that the two of you have formed, but Skip, your background predates all that. Tell us a little bit about your work prior.
Well, I was licensed as a funeral director in 1972 and have worked in the funeral industry actually since 1985 when I started a funeral home along with a good friend of mine, Senator John Thomas, who had a funeral home here in Tallahassee.
I remember.
In 85, Harvey Young Funeral Home in Crawfordville, Florida. So I've done it.
You've been around. The industry has changed.
So real quick, Harvey Young Funeral Home, I bet, was Sheriff Harvey. So Sheriff Harvey's in everything. So David Harvey now is a real estate broker. He's brought all sorts of businesses into little old Crawfordville. So it used to be Harvey Young Funeral Home, and that's probably why she was so close to David Harvey. These people.
Considerably.
Oh, the industry's changed tremendously.
Yeah.
Especially in the last 10 years.
Yeah. And how do you account for that? Is it rising? Is it changing expectations among us as consumers, or is it more coming from the other side, from the industry side? Do you think?
I think it's the consumer. The consumer actually is driving that change, and I think Jackie and I, part of our philosophy is going to be to give every person every option every time. And that's going to encourage the consumer even that much more.
I got you. So Jackie, then for your client, that family that comes to you and says, we need your help, it sounds like there's a lot of detail given, a lot of time given to the details of their needs. So what does that look like? How do you spend that time, I guess, with that
Well,
initially?
Skip may be better to answer this question, but basically we spend the time giving the business aspect, but really it's about the family. Typically more than one person will come from the family, a spouse, children, aunts, uncles, etc. And we spend the time getting to know them through the process and kind of putting them at ease. You know, there's information that we have to gather, but we speak to them about what they think they have in mind and depending on what that answer is, let them know all of the options.
I see.
You can have a traditional funeral and go to a church and have a service there, and then go to the graveside and have final words, and everyone's there, and then the burial. But we're doing that, but we're focusing more on celebrations of life, different venues, places where this person loved to go, including things in the service that the person liked to do.
How interesting.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
more positive for the family. And I think it helps them better move through the process, because there are people talking about all the wonderful things they
Interesting.
did, etc.
Indeed. And for any of us, and all of us who have lost a friend, a loved one, your role in that must be more than just conciliatory, right? You're proactive in helping me move through that grieving process to the degree that it is part of that, right? This opportunity that you bring to us in this service and all of this, that's your component, right? That's your contribution.
That's right.
And you're saying it starts with that initial consultation.
It starts with the very first contact you have with them. We treat people like family from the second we get a phone call.
Right.
We follow up and whatever their needs are. And
yeah. Is there a portion of the process, we'll call it here, where there's the services have concluded, all of that has happened, and then what? Do you stay in touch with the family? Is there a kind of follow-up then?
That's part of our business plan, is that, once the service is over, everybody goes home,
right,
and then whoever's left behind is by themselves. People aren't coming over and giving the food, etc. And then what do they do next? Right. So we offer that we're still available to assist them, because there'll be things going through the process of having lost someone that we assist them with. We have art therapy classes that everybody is invited to come. Anybody in the family can come to.
Wow.
We're going to have family dinners once or twice a month, where everybody's invited to come back, and it's kind of a potluck, and it gives everybody who's lost someone an opportunity to be around other people who are going through the same thing. And I think that's important, especially in situations where you may have an older widow who's doesn't have a lot of activity in her life, and now she's lost the person she's been with for 50 years. Well, if she comes and there's another person who's her age who's going through the same thing, then she has somebody to communicate. Maybe she has a new friend. Maybe she has somebody to have over coffee, or whatever.
Interesting.
And we've talked to a couple of I have talked to a couple of potential therapists who may come in and join in on those sessions, just to kind of speak
right,
and talk people through it.
Right.
So they don't stop with us. If they want to be a part of our family and continue with us, we're there for them.
Continuation, and those grief.
I tried to explain, Debbie, this is from a radio show, so that's why there's all the background noise. It's not meant for casting out on YouTube, to be honest with you.
Therapists that you refer to, I've heard them talk about simply being there. Words are not going to change things. It's not going to alleviate the grief, but just to be there, stay connected with them, right, Skip?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, much success to you. Thank you for being part of this broadcast today.
It's over now, but she treats you like family. Okay? She's 60 years old. She's almost 2 years to the day older than me. That's it. That's it. This is why I tell people, you got to keep weight on, okay? You got to keep the weight on. You can't be like, oh, I want to weigh 100 pounds. And no, you don't. This is why. You don't want to weigh 100 pounds. Let's remind everybody what she looks like. She honestly looks like she's got an autoimmune disease. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm not going to be finding a recent picture of her because, you know, my algorithm's going to only bring her back. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I can't. Let's see. There she is. See, this isn't even. Look at this picture of her. This shows how much weight she's lost. So this is December 2024. December 2024. He's put on some pounds from then till now. He's definitely put on weight. That's John Fuchs right there. That's who he is. Look at her there. She looks relatively healthy, right? Doesn't she? Am I wrong? And then here we have her. I mean, this doesn't even look like the same woman. Somebody needs to check her out. Somebody needs to check her out. She doesn't even look like the same damn woman. That is not the same woman. Look at that. There. Thin, but, and there. This is 7 months. 60. Melanie, she is 60 years old. That's it. Here we go. Here. It looks like she's got Harvey's suit on. Remember when Harvey had that suit on? She's had a rough 7 months. Something's going on there. Hey, D Love of God, how are you? She is 60 years old. She looks a lot older than. It's rough when your freaking defendant looks better than you do. Who was that? He had that big heavy wig on. Phil Spector. Damn. That is some rough and now. Well, somebody was not wrong. If I had a prize, I would give it to you. The hockey player, cancer faker, lives in Michigan, and his family is now mad because the auto no-fault insurance laws were changed and no longer gets many things paid for. But I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. Bill Gibson. She was a health blogger, fake terminal cancer. You can Google her. She look. She doesn't look good, man. This is it. This is not good. Something's wrong. Hey, Jackson Rip Holmes. How are you? Scamanda.
Unknown caller.
Spam is at me again. Phil Spector was scary looking. Yeah, he was a murderer too. I hope she stays alive to the end of the trial, right? That suit is just huge on her. She did go get her nails done. This is not good. This is a problem. You call him the wig weasel. Tom Petty, too. The other attorney can handle the trial. Well, they were trying to make space for their paralegal. I don't think this weight loss thing has been gradual. I know I lost 20 and some of my clothes hang on me. Now I got lots more to lose, but this is where I tell people, you got to keep that weight on. You can't be letting like that. Oh, I'm so thin. I'm so thin. Look at this. No, I don't want to be that thin. I mean, I joke about it, but I don't want to be a ruler. She's a ruler. The other attorney looks good. No way is she on Ozempic. No way would somebody give her Ozempic. No way. Maybe Donna and Jackie can trade clothing. No, right? Hey, Jeanette, how are you? Keep playing with God, you fuck around and find out. Ooh. We only have 1 week from today. 1 week from today, next Tuesday. It all changes. Jackie Fulford has extreme stress once she got caught letting Donna use her phone. I don't think it was her. I think it was Josh Zellman. I don't think it was her. I think it was Josh. It looks like she just got up. This looks like she just woke up. I don't know if it is televised. I know that they were discussing it last night on Surviving the Survivor. Was it? Can you all? I wasn't at the jury selection last last trial for Charlie Adelson. Was that televised? Can Rashbaum be put on the stand? Yeah, he could be, but he's not on. I mean, he's not on the witness list, so he can't. You think she looks like she just rolled out of bed? I don't know where she lives. She used to live in Crawfordville because she worked in Crawfordville, but I don't know where she lives now. It looks like if somebody put a headscarf on, it would look like the ladies from Grey Gardens. Remember that? Jackie O's aunts. Do you guys remember it? Am I the only one who remembers it? These are the ladies from Grey Gardens. Oh, that's right. That's right. He did say that. I remember that. Thank you, Debbie. Judge Everett, who's the presiding judge for this family, really, family of trials, said that the names could not be said. So they may be muting the names, or they may be a couple minutes behind. You know how they do that? They'll just wait like 2 minutes so that they can mute names. I'm going to be in the courtroom on the 19th. I'm going to go to jury selection. The 20th, I have a doctor's appointment for my husband, so I'll go in the afternoon when that's done. The 21st, I can be there. The 22nd, I have my own jury duty to maintain. Nothing was done allowing Donna to use her phone to circumvent being recorded. I have no idea. Nothing so far. Nothing so far, D-Love of God. We saw some of it at True Crime Wifey. Josh Dubin asking potential jurors, and I even heard people say they thought he was guilty. So they're going to bring in 300 jurors. They're going to break them up into groups of 50. They're going to do group. Do you know this person? Do you know that person? You're dismissed. Are you over 73? You know, something like that. They're just going to get the main ones out, and then they'll bring them in again. The SNL sketch with Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig being the Grey Gardens lady is hilarious. Well, that's kind of what this reminded me of. Your father was the male version of Grey Gardens without the cats. Oh, it was extremely hard to rescue him. Edie Beale, that's right. I know. What are the odds I'd be called for jury duty? It would be more amazing if I was called for jury duty for Donna. It'd be so amazing. But I wasn't. But I am going to put everyone on notice the morning of the 22nd. You might want to settle. I'm in it to win it at that point. Oh, Judy has a short of Dubin creepily looking at Sarah Catherine Dugan's behind. Good God. Nothing happened. Michael's not wrong. Nothing happened to Rashbaum after his bad doings. Nothing's going to happen to the lawyer who gave Donna a phone. If you're willing to only give this lady a slap on the wrist and let her keep her law license, nothing's happening. You could sell drugs on a street corner and probably keep your law license in Florida. These ladies look like they wear purple sunglasses. The jury consultant was so weird. That's what I remember. The Drew Barrymore and Jessica Lange movie. That's what I remember. Jackie's blazer is too big. I know. I hope. You know, they're scouring all of the podcasts. Ooh. They're scouring all of the podcasts to hear what we say. So maybe somebody can coach her and get her a jacket. You're about to feed your family, True Crime? Good for you. Good. Enjoy your dinner. Fulford's going to come into a courtroom in a week in a wheelchair. Donna's going to push it. I'm here today. Will I be tomorrow? I hope so. I hope I'm here tomorrow. I would have to recuse myself, but it would still be entertaining. You know what? As a punishment, they would make me wait till like 299. Can you see that? That would be my punishment. 300 jurors, and I'm number 299. They make me sit down in silence in the jury pool room, not able to talk to anybody. Be hilarious. Oh, that's nice, YB. She wants True Crime Wifey to come back on. Nothing happened to Alan Jack. Nothing's going to happen to anybody. Anyone remember Dubin stretching his leg and his back? I don't. Donna looks like she sucks the energy out of people. Yes, it's not nice. Josh effing Dubin, as Charlie referred to him on jail calls to Donna, was a dick. A jacket and a brush, a comb. Her hair's so fine. You can't be combing this hair too hard. It's very fine. Mine's not far off from that. I am so beside myself with the powers that be that protect the other lawyers in their industry without thinking, you know, this isn't going to look good. Someday in the future, this isn't going to look good. Okay. Webster says Wendy would have lost hers most likely due to financial fraud. So curious why lying about cancer wouldn't get it taken away. Well, unless she was asking for money, it wasn't. Well, it was a fraud because she was taking time off work, according to Stephen Webster. So the fraud was committed. So she was stealing personal time. She was salaried. So she's stealing time. I remember hearing that Jodi Arias had turned her shop to Goodwill for her clothing. Remember the little girl puff sleeve shirt? Ugh. Can we fast forward to Tuesday? In fact, just opening statements. No, you can't. Even Joe Patuto on STS last night said that jury selection is going to be very important. Now, the female law professor that I don't know her name, she was talking about how if there were older people here, because there's older people, and of course she's been to Tallahassee and knew people that lived in Tallahassee. When people say that, I just roll my eyes, but there are not that many older people here. Like as a ratio, it's far younger people far outweigh the older people. But as I recall, Charlie's final jury, it was about 45 years old was the average, as I recall. And they were gone in like 3 hours and had lunch on the state. So chair yoga. I just don't. I don't see it being. I agree with Joe Patuto, surprisingly, as I guess I do. But the older the person, the less sympathy is going to be for Donna Adelson. The younger the person, they're going to be so tech savvy, the less sympathy it'll be for Donna Adelson. And that's the point where I think they're missing, which I will be fun to watch the jury selection, because younger people know how the phones work, have an attitude when somebody confronts them on the street, right? They have a reaction. She didn't have a reaction to the bump. She just turned around and went again to the elementary school to get her grandchildren, believing, right? She's so afraid that there's a Latin king who is following her. But she went and got the kids. Now, who in their right mind, when there is stranger danger and there's a stranger following you, hands you a weird envelope, comes up and confronts you about an associate, Latin king was never mentioned, goes into the elementary school and gets the kids and brings them back up without calling anybody and saying, hey, I need help on the down low. She didn't. My daughter would unalive me. Hands down. If I am walking around the streets of Miami knowing someone's following me and I have her kids with me, I don't think the younger generation who is so aware of the amount of crime we have here, the amount of technology that we have and surveillance, is going to buy for what she's selling. I just don't believe it. I just don't. I don't think they're going to believe for 1 second she walked away in fear. They could slow down that bump video and see if her pace changed from when she was walking up, met by Jimenez, the special agent, greeted by him, handed the envelope, and then her pace. I bet it didn't change one inch of a step. She knew exactly who it was. Yeah. That family is a problem. I mean, it's the whole. Harvey's the oldest. They're probably not going to do anything to him, but I think he knew. Unalive me. Oh, she would. She would unalive me. There wouldn't even be a question. I would never see them again. And rightfully so. Who am I thinking of at that point? So I don't know. I don't believe what the what is her name? Does anyone know? Harriman or something like that? I don't believe her. I believe what Joe Patuto said, but I again think the older the person, the less likely they're going to tolerate her BS because we're all fit. You know, she's only, how old is she? She's 16 years older than me. That's it. She's not that old. She looks it, but it's not like Aunt B from Andy Griffith's shows coming out here, right? And they're like her little padded bras and the little like wearing the stockings and the old lady shoes. It's not going to happen. And I guarantee the younger people are not going to buy what she's selling because they're a lot more critical in their thinking. And if someone walks up to a 22-year-old on the street down by FSU, you're going to get a response. You confront them and say, I got something for you. I need you to talk. You're going to get ripped to the new one. It's not going to be what these people are trying to sell. Wendy is a Stepford droid. If she shows up in another gray dress, I'm going to start calling her Eleanor Rigby. She also leaves her face in a jar by the door. I leave my face in the jar by the door. Donna's going to use her fake voice inflection just as Wendy did, and the jury saw right through it. Or when I just wanted to go to Vietnam and I just wanted some peace. I just needed some peace. So we just chose, you know, haphazardly a non-extradition country. It's just it was simple. It was a simple life. We were there on vacation and we just enjoyed it so much. Wacko. I think so too. Aruba is peaceful. Well, unless you're Natalie Holloway. No, it's not so peaceful. I wouldn't go to Aruba. That gray dress won't fit Wendy anymore. You don't think? Oh, I think it will. What does she have to do besides her own yoga? Wendy doesn't have anything to do. Aunt B, you know who I mean. What would her defense be if she doesn't get up there? Oh, she has to. She has to get up and talk about how scared she was, that the Latin Kings were after her, even though the guy never mentioned Latin Kings, never mentioned it, never said it. Now, he said it in his deposition. He was presented as a Latin king, but the words Latin king never stepped out of his mouth, ever. Wasn't there. He was asking for $5,000. She's like, okay. She walked away. Who does that? To the elementary school. She doesn't turn around and go, she doesn't go back to her home and think, or Harvey, you need to come get me and pick up the kids together. None of that happened. So is Myrtle Beach. Oh, you just don't like living the exotic life that these people require that own dental offices. They need more peace than that, more privacy, less Wi-Fi. Wendy's probably drawing from the boys' money because she hasn't worked a long time and has to support the boys. And the boyfriend makes a lot of money. I mean, he just does. He makes a lot of money. I know how much Amazon Web Services pays their people. I know he doesn't work for them anymore. He left, but he makes good money. Thank you, Tennis Girl. Please hit like and subscribe. She's super lazy too. Hey, Max. Did I say hey to you? Wendy looks like she's put on weight, do you think? Hold on, let me show you. She gags me. I'll be so ticked if I can't be there that day. She looks fit. Her boobs are bigger. The boobs are definitely enlarged. You know what I mean? Wendy has her magic hoo-ha. That's right. It just irritates me when you see this family photo and she has the blue glasses on and everyone else is just, she has to be the center of attention. Even when other people are graduating, she cannot stop it. The SSA alone for the kids is close to $5 grand a year. Is it really? That's real curls. That's real frizz. She definitely has it highlighted. This is a couple years ago. I know. Marabella's hooked. Half her family is locked up, but look how happy she looks. She doesn't have a care in the world. She doesn't have a care in the world. Hope boyfriend pays for cleaning lady. Wendy hates to clean even after herself. Are her teeth looking the same? I feel like her teeth is... That's my hair too. No criticism. We all have frizz, hate it. Oh, I think it's pretty. I mean, I like curly hair like that. Naturally curly hair. The survivor's Social Security for Wendy's boys will be ending the next several years when they reach 18. Her arms look chubby. Oh, I don't think so. Her arms look like she's been lifting weights. I don't think so at all. The dress, she's had her boobs done. Hands down. Let's see. I don't want to show you the family picture. Let me look. Because it does have the boys in it. So let me see if I can crop this down better. Maybe not. Maybe I can't do it today. Everything about her is opposing. She's just, let me see. Because he has, the gentleman has, what's the term? Sunglasses on, hold on. Talk amongst yourselves while I figure this out today. Okay. So here's her full on. So she's fit. Do you see it? I hate saying it, but that's muscle. That's not fat. But see how she has to be like the center? She's twisted. Her body's like, she has to turn. She can't just have a photo straight on like a normal person, right? She can't do that. You think she looks fatter? She's definitely had a boob job. I think they're bigger than they were. 2006 dress. Yeah, it's not very attractive. Why is Tim Kelly a witness? Tim Kelly was a real estate agent involved in, I don't remember. Tim Kelly is a real estate agent here in town. If it was let me look it up, the Trescott house or the Cameron Chase house where she rented. But Tim Kelly was one of them. I just don't remember. That's why he's a witness. I don't know if he showed them homes. I don't remember anymore. Let's see if I could still bring up the Trustcon house. Yeah, it shows. Lisa Carey's also a witness. Okay, so when they bought the house, Tim Kelly was their agent. I just looked it up. So yeah, when they bought at 2116 Truscott, that was their agent. When they listed that house, Lisa Carey was the agent when they listed it. So they paid, here you can see it. So they paid, I can only show phone numbers, but $350, and then it was less than that when I can't show you the phone numbers because I'll get in trouble. But how much did they sold it for? $281. So they were upside down when they sold the house. He is a prosecution witness, Tim Kelly. Was he the one who was allegedly looking for a house for Wendy? No, it was Lisa Carey, which I don't know if she's still with. Yeah, she's still with Coldwell Banker. She's really a nice lady. She really is nice. Why does Donna have so many attorneys on the witness list as she's trying to raise her grade? They're probably not all going to be on there. She shops at Ross Dress for Less. Probably. I mean, did you see her shoes? Like, her shoes never look comfortable. Murder boobs. She looks matronly to you. Wendy does. Well, I mean, she's aging. Hey, Cecilia. Thank you very much. I mean, it just look like her belly is just under her boobs? No. It's cinched at the waist. Wendy and Katie both got murder boobs. Borderline personality disorder. Hey, Gretchen. Just like her mother. Nut tree. Pot. Kettle. You're going to catch a flight. Getting my curly hair straightened for coming to Florida on the 29th. Might catch a flight to Tally. Hope you do. Wouldn't that be fun? That young man is her son. The young man is her son. How many sets of boobs did Charlie pay for? Probably a lot. Stephen Webster and Georgia Kappelman are making Tallahassee look great. Thank you, Indy Nana. Thank you. You never had boobs, but if I did, I would hide them. Why? No, you wouldn't. Nah. What did YB say? Oh, yeah. How many did he buy? I bet he bought a lot. I bet he bought a lot. Borderliners have almost always suffered childhood trauma. Katie, June, the girlfriend. What is her name? Brianna. I mean, thousands. But when you got a friend who's like a boob doctor, is that a thing? Is that a thing? Boob doctor. Anyway, 1 week from today, jury starts. 300 people, 50 at a time. I'll be in the courtroom. I'm sure a lot of people will be in the courtroom, media-wise. Hopefully it takes 4 days. I hope it's 19, 20, 21, and 22, but yeah. Judge was thinking that the full trial would start on the 25th, but I don't know. Georgia mentioned she hadn't subpoenaed the rebuttal witnesses yet, so I'm sure they went out. Yeah, boob doctor is a thing for sure. Webster was on a show the other night talking smack about Fulford. He's pissed. Hey, John Smith, how are you? That is true. I played it earlier. How many? Kristen, I don't think you meant to write it that way. Because I'm going to read it as it's written. How many sets of boobs does it take to get Charlie off? Not many. That's what she said. Yeah, I don't think that's what you meant. Webster was interesting. Remember a jacket for the trial. Thank you. You know what? I think I'm going to put that in my truck now. I think I'm going to put it in my car. Long time no see. Just want to say thanks for covering this. Also, you inspired me to do intermittent fasting in January. Haven't missed in 8 months. Congratulations. That is amazing. That is amazing. Congratulations. Worked for me the first time around. Now I'm on the shot. I went the cheap way. Well, it's not the cheap way, that's for sure. But I went the easy way. They want me to go up to 3/4, 0.75. I'm not ready to do that yet. Dr. Boogner, remember? We're going to have to do a big refresher this weekend. Brady thinks Tim Jansen is a double agent. I think Tim Jansen, his natural personality, not his attorney personality, his natural personality is a people pleaser. And I think that's what happened. And I think bait was thrown. He caught it. He threw it out there. And then we have it. I don't think he's a double agent. I think he tries to ride 2 horses with 1 ass. And it's really hard to do. I mean, some days he thinks Wendy's guilty. Some days, and I love Tim Jansen, so I'm not disparaging, but when you listen to him on STS and on The Lawyer You Know, or whoever else he's on with that day, he says different things. And sometimes he thinks Wendy's guilty and she'll be arrested. This is what I wanted to talk about. This one pissed me off. So, did I get rid of it? Hold on. No, I didn't. So, I was going to go, but thank you for bringing that up because it does jack me up. And it does because, well, let me get to it. This is with, let's see, The Lawyer You Know. Hopefully he won't ding me for using his content. But Tim was on with The Lawyer You Know, and he talks about what had happened.
I fought Jack Campbell in court for the last 20, 25 years.
That's the state attorney in Tallahassee. For anybody that's not familiar, the decision maker when it comes to things like this. And you broke some news on Joel's podcast, Surviving Survivor, that you heard from some sources that a plea deal or something was floated out there that if Donna Adelson was willing to flip and testify against Wendy Adelson, that she would be given time served and be able to go home and her case would be over and they would be building that case against Wendy Adelson. Is that right?
Well, it's pretty funny. It was like an innocuous question, and we were doing it with Joel and Julia from Court TV. They asked Julia, do you think they'd ever give a plea offer to Donna? to get Wendy. And I had this information for like a week or two, and it didn't mean that much to me. So I said, well, yeah, I heard from a good source that she was offered time served to go against Wendy. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. I wasn't a recipient of it, but I know the source is a very good source. And I just thought I'd add that in there because it really wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility of a plea offer. I mean, lawyers give plea offers all the time. Some are formal, some are in writing, some are just, hey, you think your client wants to cooperate? One of the biggest cases, and it's now on Hulu now, is Mr. and Mrs. It was Brian Winchester, and he was arrested for kidnapping his ex-wife, Denise Winchester. And so every case I get a plea offer. Some are terrible, some are good. But the prosecutor's like, no plea offer in this case. I'm like, it's attempted kidnapping. She's not hurt. He goes, well, I said, well, I don't know. I was in Tampa. Apparently it was a 19-year-old mystery about what happened to Mike Williams. He goes, well, maybe you ask your client, maybe he has some information. Maybe we'll cut a deal. Now, is that a plea offer? Is that an offer? Technically, yes, it is. It's not firm. It's not in writing. That's how things get started. The state wants something. Your client may have something. You reach in between, It's kind of like buying a car, right? They want to buy it, sell it high. You want to buy it low. So you end up meeting in the middle.
Yeah. And all the time, it's like, if you're willing to do this, I'll see what I can do. Or would your client ever be interested in something like this? These things can pop out of the blue. These things can take time to develop. They can be informal. And I'll just say, when I first heard it, not the most shocking thing in the world, right? We know that Catherine McBonowa was given, well, I guess all the reports were she was given the opportunity to have immunity if she would flip and testify against the Adelsons. She said no, shockingly enough, goes to trial eventually after multiple trials, gets convicted. But we know they've done things like this in the past. Other people have been offered and even taken deals because they're really trying to get to the bottom of what is the linchpin in this case, which may or may not be Wendy Adelson.
Well, as a federal prosecutor, why do the federal prosecutors have a 98% conviction rate? Because the penalties are so harsh. They take cases they can win, and they get a lot of co-defendants to flip and come in to reduce their sentence. The state attorney does it also, but not as vigorously. But you get a shooter, like in this case, Dan Markel, the professor. They cut a deal with Luis Rivera. Okay, Luis was a Latin king. He had come up here twice to try to kill Dan. He was present. He was the driver. He helped get away car. They gave him a deal. And you think, why would they give that guy a deal? He's one of the most culpable. But they needed him to get to Sigfredo, right? And then they cut a deal to get Katie. But Katie, for some reason, turned down the alleged offer of immunity twice, went to trial, and then perjured herself the second time. And lo and behold, guess what happens? Charlie gets arrested, and the state calls Katie McBonowa. He's got no credibility whatsoever. I was shocked when they called her. But, okay, so how is Katie going to get out of her life sentence? It's not like they can say, we're going to file to reduce your sentence. They're going to have to set aside that conviction. And there's probably no deal on the table because she would have to disclose that to the defense. So it's like, no, I don't have a deal, but there's probably an understanding, or there's some inference, or there's some possibility, right? Because I don't think Katie would do it out of the goodness of her heart when she's serving a life sentence.
That's
So,
what she said.
Deals are deals. Sometimes they're written, sometimes they're not.
Yeah, that's what Katie said. That's why she was doing it. But and again, exactly what I said before. That could be one of those situations like, hey, if she comes and testifies, we'll see how it goes. We'll see what the results are and how helpful it is to us, and then we'll see what we can do. And then Don Adelson, maybe she's waiting. Maybe she's just going to testify against everybody, and then something may present itself later. Does that mean a deal was offered now? Not necessarily. Does that mean a deal could be on the table in the future? Deals can always be made. Deals can always be made in these situations because there is an objective that we're trying to get to as lawyers on both sides. And the just result for prosecutors is that everybody that's culpable ends up seeing their day in court and they get justice for Dan Markel and his entire family. And other people were also talking about how if they need Donna Adelson to flip on Wendy. Obviously, they don't have that strong of a case against Wendy, but you just brought up a good point. They wanted Katie against Charlie. She didn't flip. They still had enough to go convict Charlie. Is
Right.
this, as far as how Tallahassee works, is this normal that it takes this long and they go one right after the next and they just take years and years and years? Or is this kind of a unique situation?
This is really a unique situation because you don't usually have people alleged co-conspirators from have separate trials. Usually they're tried together. You get a table full of 6 people or 5 people, and they're all tried together. Conspiracy is because then you can introduce evidence against each other, co-conspirator statements. Federal court co-conspirator statements kill people, and defendants never understand conspiracy. I think they said, well, they conditioned it later on after she was convicted that she had to go against her. But you don't always mention the plea office. And so Jack came out for I don't know what reason, because if people look at it, really, if they offered a deal to Donna to testify against everybody in her family or anybody else who was responsible for this murder, don't you think that would be a good deal? Don't you think people would accept that? She's 75 and she'd be a convicted. I think people would probably absorb that and accept it.
I mean, from my perspective, if we're looking at danger to the community and she can flip on Wendy and Wendy actually did this and they convict Wendy, Wendy's probably going to have more relationships in the future. If she's willing to do this in this relationship, she's a danger to the community more in the future, wherever she is, if she's dating, marrying, whatever, versus Donna, who's obviously older. And this specific scenario may not present itself, right? If Wendy is away and Charlie's away. So, I mean, I get it. And I think from that perspective, if they do take the deal, and Donna Adelson does flip on Wendy and it doesn't end up working out, they have everything Donna Adelson had that they can use against her then in a future prosecution potentially, so they can still get Donna. So there's not really a lot of risk from the prosecution side, except that a lady in her mid-70s isn't going to spend the rest of her life in prison, which again, I would hazard a guess, right? And I have not asked this to the Markells, but if they truly believe Wendy Adelson is the reason, the linchpin, the person who asked for them to do this, the reason all this happened, they would take that deal in a heartbeat for Donna to flip on Wendy, have Wendy be punished for what she did and have to serve for the time for what she did versus Donna. I think that would be something they would consider a win from their perspective.
All right. As a trial, they're lawyers and then they're trial lawyers, right? A lot of people say they're lawyers, but then there are trial lawyers who are in the courtroom trying cases, big cases, serious cases, people's lives in their hands, decisions you got to make. Not only before trial, before charges, and then in the middle of trial, you got to make objections. You got to double cross this, call this witness. But think about this. If Jack wanted to set up Donna, why wouldn't he say, okay, we'll offer you this deal, but we want a proffer? So you got to pass the proffer. A proffer means you get the queen for the day, but the only reason they can use it if you testify differently, they can impeach you. So if they give this deal to Donna, she does a proffer and they don't like it, then Donna can't testify in her own trial because she's already made some incriminating statements. So it's always difficult to make a decision whether your client should do a proffer, because if you think you might have a chance at going to trial, you never do a proffer because then he can't testify or she can't testify. This offer, if it was made, I'm not saying it was, or any offer that was made, whatever the offer was, if they made any kind of offer or insinuation, it would have required Donna to do a proffer. It would have required her to sit down and tell everything she knows and be truthful. And that would have required her probably to implicate Charlie. So it would be easy to make that deal knowing that Donna's probably not going to take it and didn't take it.
Summer is always brutally hot, especially here. Some of what she said. Of course, like you said, they're not even going to be able to testify at trial. It severely hampers her defense.
Oh, yeah.
It just creates so many problems once you start going down that road. It's really hard to backtrack as a defendant. So once they say yes to that as the prosecutors, it's a win-win for you from my perspective. And I think that as Donna is getting ready for her trial, depending on what her lawyers are telling her, she's going to start realizing how bad this looks. She's going to have to realize how bad it looks. From your perspective, do you think it's going to be similar to Charlie Adelson's trial? Do you think it's going to be a similar theory, or do you think she's going to do something different?
I think she's kind of like Teflon defense. She's going to have to be tied to Charlie's defense because she's got to deal with all that code language after the bump, putting Katie on payroll. She's got to explain that. And who can do that but her? So she has to testify. But I think she had a chance until she fled. Okay.
Oof.
That fleeing is the mountain on top, because that jury instruction, the inference of guilt, a judge is going to read that instruction. You can infer consciousness of guilt of her trying to flee. And the defense is trying everything they can. They're trying tomorrow or again to keep that out. But their problem is they have an alternative theory. But the law says if you have an alternative theory, that doesn't go to the admissibility. You could present that to the jury, and a fact finder will determine if that's true or not. So I do not see the judge keeping out the flight and the consciousness of guilt.
Yeah, it's one of those things that people know it when they see it, and the timing of it just doesn't. I mean, there's so many mistakes made. Why not just buy a return ticket? Like, there's just so many things that don't make any sense when you look at her literally like a movie with her bags at the airport flying to a non-extradition country. It's like it all just makes it with the Google searches and all that. It's just that is the cherry on top from them. But they're going to have the same story to tell that they told in Charlie Adelson's case, which is this type of story that has a lot of links to the chain. I'll be honest. And during Charlie Adelson's trial, it was interesting to hear how Dan Rashbaum presented that. And Charlie Adelson, was smooth as could be on the stand, had an answer for every question. But it's just a story that almost tells itself. It's a story that just works in a juror's mind. You don't need to have motive, of course. We talk about this in so many cases. You don't need to prove motive, but when you have one, and when the story fits together like this one does, with all the timing of where everybody was, a really good investigation that took a long time, but with the red light cameras and piecing it all together, it's a pretty big mountain to get over, even without her fleeing. Do you expect it to go the same way Charlie's case went?
Well, I'll tell you, this case would never have been broken if it wasn't for Agent Pat Sanford and the FBI going through the bus, getting those cameras, piecing that down on the highway. Not many people know, but I've been to the facility. We have a facility. It's the fireplace, the fire station. It's the not national, state one, but they have cameras everywhere. They have cameras on almost every intersection. They have them on I-10. So they can go back and piece cars and stuff and do the files and look at everything. That's so important. Everything in this case was important. The neighbor seeing what the car, maybe a Prius, and then going back to his whereabouts at the gym and seeing all that investigative work was brilliant. And it tied all these people together. You got Katie working there, getting paid, not doing anything. They were watching her. She wasn't going to the office. And then you got Charlie talked too much and his behavior with his mother was crazy. And if the story is true, don't you think Wendy would have known about this story before she walked in court at Charlie? She didn't even hear it until she said she got in the courthouse that day at Charlie's trial. And why would the mother and her grandmother put her children in the danger of these and killers? Why would they move them closer to those people to be harmed? It doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah, that's really the problem with the whole story is, proving something beyond a reasonable doubt can be very difficult. People aren't there. If you don't have a video of it or a recording of it, how do you prove it with this direct and circumstantial evidence? And it can be a very difficult principle in your head to just kind of think about. But when you actually do it in court and you try it different ways and on both sides, having to prove it and trying to poke holes in it, you really start to understand that the story and the pieces fitting together can be as important as anything else. And that's really what they have here is they had to get the pieces, like you said, from the investigation to fit the story that just makes sense. And then you have the emails and the family law case that's just used against the Adelson. That was just vicious, the way they spoke about Dan and what they want to do to Dan. And we know how horrible family law cases can be, but that's not where it ended, right? We have all these other pieces they're able to put together. One thing I found interesting with this talk about Donna Adelson potentially flipping on Wendy, I don't think that's going to happen. But right before her last trial started, it seems like there was a little chink in the Adelson armor where Charlie Adelson became a problem and conflicts of interest came up with Dan Rashbaum representing Charlie and then going to represent Donna, and Michael Ufferman, who we also know well over in Tallahassee, the appellate attorney for Charlie Adelson, files this motion that there's no conflict waiver. It's not written. This can't happen. We've got to get Rashbaum off the case. We've got to get these other lawyers off the case. This is a problem. he's not going to testify. What's going to happen here? And it all kind of explodes to where it didn't seem like Charlie was playing nice in the sandbox with Donna anymore, and basically not allowing her to have counsel of her choice, which would be Dan Rashbaum, at her trial. What did you make of all that?
Well, I think that Dan was inexperienced and didn't realize of the potential conflict. I think Dan was too close to Donna. He described his relationship as a mother. It was way too close. That's when you always get in trouble. What do politicians always get in trouble? Helping a friend or a family member. Same with lawyers. When you represent a friend or a family member, you kind of do things you wouldn't normally do, that I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it because it's a friend and I'm going to have to deal with this person every year. Dan made mistakes. It just, none of it. The other part they have to prove. How would Sigfredo and Lewis have any reason to come up here and kill Markel? They wouldn't even know what he looked like. They certainly wouldn't pick out this guy and kill him and then say, give me money. That's not how it works. And that's not how it's done. It's usually done by you get paid. And Charlie's problem was he had the girlfriend who saw the money that was stapled. So he had to come up with the theory to answer that too, because it would undermine his whole defense. So his story, he was very good, but too good. And I recall one time watching the trial, because I was injured at the time. I had some broken ribs. So I did daily. I was watching it. And the judge Everett asked Dan, how much more longer do you have? And he said something. And the judge goes, well, I know you got your script. I said, he said script. And we're all thinking he has a script. And that is what Charlie's doing. He's reading the script that they've orchestrated. And that's kind of how it came out. I don't think the judge meant that, but I just thought it was the irony of it.
Yeah, that the entire defense there was very interesting, and a lot of people watching online did not like it and did not appreciate it and did not believe it. Seems like the jury didn't either. But specifically where it comes to, it seems like maybe they're not all on the same page and in line again. Do you think that's any indication that there's a chance Donna could point the finger at Charlie, Wendy, anybody like that, go rogue and kind of try to protect herself? Do you think there's any chance of that at this point?
Well, I think it's good that Charlie got Mike Offerman, who's one of the brilliant appellate lawyers in this state, and told Charlie, listen, that you got an issue here. You might get a new trial because you had a conflict, because you wanted to call your mom, but you couldn't because they were going to depose her. And then your lawyer took them off the witness list. So you couldn't call them as witnesses. So you didn't get to call witnesses who could have corroborated your story. So he would be probably, and Charlie's thinking, why should I spend the rest of my life if I can get a new trial? So I think there is kind of a chink there. He loves his mother, but he also loves himself too. And he probably realized, hey, mom's 76. I'm only 40. I don't want to spend the rest of my life. So he's listening to his lawyer. And I think he's got really good legal advice. So I think there is a little split there. And there's a split, obviously, between a chasm between Wendy, Charlie. If you heard some of the phone calls, where Wendy doesn't even ask about Charlie. And then Donna is so afraid to tell Charlie that Wendy doesn't even ask about him. So there is a split there.
Well, yeah, because if Charlie gets pissed off enough and he gets the same offer that maybe Donna got, then what happens to Wendy? I mean, that's the thing. And it's really interesting, and it's a perfect question for you as somebody that was a former federal prosecutor, because I feel like this happens more for the feds than it does on a state level, but where it seems like a group, whether it's a gang or a mob type of situation or a family, legitimate family like by blood or family by choice, when you have the situation, it seems like they're holding the line and nothing's going to break them apart. And then one thing happens and it all starts to crumble. That's something that really does happen in these cases, especially when the stakes get high and you come face to face with what could be the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, this case. The feds wanted it to go to the feds. And Willie Meggs, the state attorney, didn't want it to go. He wanted to take it there. And I talked to Craig Isom, and got to know Isom before he retired. And I worked cases with Craig Isom. I got cases. Really funny guy, good investigator. They went to Willie Meggs and said, listen, we want to take Georgia with us down to South Florida. And we want to confront Sigfredo. We're going to put him in an office. We're going to tell him, listen, you got 2 minutes. You can't call anybody. This is a prosecutor that can cut you a deal. Right now, you tell us. And Willie said, no, just go and interview him. Well, what happened? He denied it. He declined. He got on the phone. They all lawyered up, and it kind of hurt the investigation. So, and the feds probably would have moved it quicker, and you certainly wouldn't have had this conflict happen in federal court because the federal court judges wouldn't have allowed it.
Yeah.
It was a mistake. A lot of people missed that, dropped the ball on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything's different if this is a federal case, in my opinion. It's a completely different situation. But we're here now and we're in state court, and they continue to try to walk methodically towards getting the full justice here for the Markel family. You said you've practiced in front of this judge and against these prosecutors. First, let's start with the judge. What are your kind of thoughts on the judge type? I feel like I've gotten to know his personality a little bit. I've never practiced in front of him, but just by watching these trials, what are your thoughts on the judge?
He's really low key.
Yeah.
He's he's not a screamer or a yeller. Jury box for jury selection that day, and I told Lacoste and Tara, I just want you to know that's my little brother in my fraternity. I've known him for 40 years, and I just want to disclose. And the judge is like, well, Mr. Chance, I never get. No, Judge, I'm not saying you ever did me any favors or anything, but I want everybody to know this in case I get picked on the jury. But I didn't get picked.
Of course.
But Judge Everett is, I don't think anybody can complain about Judge Everett trying your case. I've never heard anybody complain about him. I think he's fair in a lot of ways. He's a perfect judge.
Yeah, I really liked him. One of the things that's most frustrating to me in front of a judge, whether I'm trying a case or not, like a lot of civil litigation moves slow. It's indecisive judges. I just can't stand it. Can't you guys just work this out? Can't you just figure it out among yourselves? Let's kick it out. I'll issue my ruling later, but if you can work it out before I just hate stuff like that. He seems to not have a problem with that. He's confident. He's competent. He listens to the arguments and he makes the ruling he thinks is right. And I appreciate the way he actually does seem to consider these things, even if to some of us it's like obviously no, but he'll still consider it and then make the ruling that generally I think most people would agree with. So I appreciate that in the way that he ran the first trial. What about the prosecutors? What has been your experience with them? My daughter is getting to the age where whether I like it or not,
but she has her eye on the ball and she knows where she's going. Pretty formidable.
you should do. Your life's on the line. It's not a surprise. But again, most criminal defendants still don't necessarily do that. So there were some really interesting parts in the trial, but overall, I think cool, calm, collected, a machine, powerhouse type of prosecutor. Because a lot of prosecutors end up being criminal defense attorneys. And she is not. She's been a prosecutor for a long time, and I think done a really good job as well. What about the criminal defense attorneys in the case?
I didn't mention Sarah.
Oh, okay.
I've tried cases with Sarah for a long time. Sarah has three young kids, a wonderful mother, a wonderful person, a really down-to-earth person, comes across like your friend or your daughter or your sister. Jurors really like Sarah. She doesn't mislead the court. She's diligent. And I think the juries like her. And I thought she did an excellent cross-examination of Meg Bonawa. She was and very cordial, listened to her. Sometimes cross-examination prosecutors, they get caught looking at their notes, right? And they don't listen to the response from the witness and realize what just opened up. They're like checking down their questions. So a good prosecutor, any good lawyer, has to be able to
all lawyers
has to be doing both, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to listen to the response, looking for that door, and at the same time make sure you don't miss. So I think Sarah's an excellent prosecutor. I think Georgia and them are a good team together.
Yeah, and she also came off really cool, calm, collected. Didn't seem like anything phased her. Some lawyers you can tell when they're on their heels a little bit. I didn't feel like I ever noticed that with her either. And yeah, that's the biggest problem with all lawyers and questioning witnesses, even sometimes on direct, right? Because sometimes your witness gives you a better answer than you expected, or kind of the best explanation you ever had.
Or a terrible answer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got to fix it, right? But listening, right? Not just talking as a lawyer, but listening is really important. But I thought they've been a great team kind of throughout, mainly a female team of prosecutors here. And you have a case now. Charlie's case may have been different, but you've got Donna Adelson, who's an older female defendant. And if she takes the stand, somebody's got to
like her granddaughter, just trying to, like she did with Katie, and that could be very effective. So I think either way could be effective, and I'd be curious to see. I'm curious to see who's going to do the opening for the prosecution. I think it will probably be Sarah, and then Georgia will close. That's normally been how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that could change, I'm sure they're thinking of ways to do it, how to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
because it can be an advantage for the defense to have seen this case kind of put on multiple times and how they might respond to it. So maybe switching it up a little bit. They both know the case. That's clear. I mean, this has got to be what they've been thinking about for the past however many years, being so focused on it. And so we've seen the judge, we've seen the prosecutors before. We have not really seen a lot of the defense attorneys, at least associated with this case. What do you know about them, and what are your thoughts on how you think it's going to go from their end?
Well, Jackie used to be a prosecutor in the office. She was a supervisor. Then she became a judge, and then she got taken off the bench, or she agreed to get off the bench for a disability.
Okay.
Josh has been a criminal defense lawyer for quite a bit of time. He's tried a lot of cases. He's been around the block. He knows his way around the courtroom. He's pretty good in written motion practice. I've never really seen him handle a high profile trial in person, so I don't know that. And I'm curious to see how they're going to divvy it up. I think Donna will be done direct by Jackie. My
Okay.
understanding is Jackie and Donna have become really, really close. So I think Jackie will do the direct of Donna. And then I think maybe Zellman will do the cross of the state's main witnesses, right? The phone and wiretap and all that. And then obviously Luis Rivera. I don't know who will cross.
Yeah, it's been interesting to me to see how different lawyers have kind of attacked the whole Wendy Adelson situation and the family law lawyers that are involved. There's just so many aspects to this case that as a lawyer, as a trial lawyer, when you look at it, anytime you cross a lawyer, it's a little bit different, right? And there are multiple people with law degrees, even, Wendy, in this case that you have to deal with. And then there's these so many witnesses in this case that, are they friendly? Are they not friendly? And as a prosecutor, it's like, you're going to call Wendy Adelson, definitely not friendly with you, but you need to use her. As a trial lawyer, how do you look at witnesses like that? How do you prepare differently when you know?
Says, right? When she comes in and says, I don't know anything about anything. I'm just naive. I think the court's going to open the door, let him testify. Who's going to cross-examine him? Because if there's anybody who knows about controlling, I mean, they disowned him because he fell in love with an Indian woman that wasn't Jewish. And he broke up, and then he ends up marrying her, but he's disassociated from the family because of the control of Donna. And if there's ever something relevant, control is the main thing of the case for the government. She was trying to control the family, including the grandkids.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they've got a lot to pick from, which can be difficult. And there's been a lot of media attention around this case. And some people thought that maybe Donna Adelson would be successful in changing the venue. She was not.
Requires that you try to pick a jury. You can't just.
It's just like so many different walks of
with some alternates. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Not rattled, didn't say anything.
There's a point here where I have to find it in the transcript where they talk about, this is the part that irritates me. They sit there and talk about the fact that there's no evidence. There has to be evidence. So that's what I'm going to look for. And that's the part where I was like, I'm so sick of this town saying there's no evidence here. Is it here? Here it is, 4846. Just 1 second, and then I'll turn it off. But this town has put up with this shit from these attorneys and these prosecutors for 11 years.
You got to fight for justice, right? Seek truth and justice and do it the right way and prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, not just say, they all did it. She probably did it too. Jury, let's convict her too. Because guess what? A jury might do that. And then you got to live with that.
Yeah. You hope. And these two prosecutors are not the ones that are going for scalps. Right. I knew prosecutors that went for scalps. I had a federal prosecutor told me, he goes, he might beat the rap, but he won't beat the ride. And I told him I don't want to be a part of that because I
It's
never
horrible.
did that. As a prosecutor, I always made sure that I could sleep at night, and whoever I indicted, because as a federal, you get a lot of power.
Yeah.
I don't believe Georgia and Sarah would do that. Say, oh, we don't think we have enough, but we're just going to give it a shot. They
Good.
won't. If they feel like they got the evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and they're not supposed to
Right.
file charges unless they have evidence they can prove beyond a
Absolutely.
reasonable doubt. And that's a standard.
Yeah, and
So
unfortunately, we've followed a lot of cases here over the years, just on YouTube around the country, where it feels like that's not what prosecutors are doing,
Right.
and they go too far, they overcharge, they want the notoriety, they want the scalps, like you said, and that's just not the way that it's done. And I think your story is pretty pertinent that there are some prosecutors like that. There are some prosecutors that don't really care. They know they can ruin this person's life. You talked about how much power a federal prosecutor has. And now
Oh.
you can literally, and as a criminal defense attorney, you see it too. Like, people's lives are ruined by arrests and allegations, regardless of what happens on the other side. Regardless of if the charges are dropped or it's a not guilty verdict or whatever it is, it can literally be life ruining. So to take it seriously, and it's good to hear about, these prosecutors in this case, that they wouldn't do that, that they are ethical and they're going to look at it the appropriate way. I know there's a lot of people around the country really that are looking for justice in this case. What's your plan as far as when the trial starts? Are you planning on being there, following?
So Tim Jansen says someone can go to a prosecutor and say, why haven't you prosecuted this person? And he goes, you need evidence. And it literally triggers me. And I hate even use the word trigger because it's a trigger. Willie Meggs said there was no evidence in writing, in press conferences, said there was no evidence. You're coming up on 4 convictions. You mean to tell me you can't get Wendy Adelson for conspiracy? There's no way. Far many more people are convicted of far less, even in this town. Of course you can get Wendy. You may not want to get Wendy. You may not want to go after her for whatever reason. She was the mother of the 2 kids. You may think it looks dirty or schmarmy or what. There is no way that those 2 guys, like was said in this video, would have driven up to little podunk Tallahassee to off Dan Markel in his garage unless Wendy was involved. There's no way. No one else knew his schedule. She verified his schedule. There's no other way. There's no other way. If Denise Williams, which I listened to that trial and watched that trial, the Brian Winchester, Denise Williams killed Mike Williams, I still think she shouldn't have been convicted, but she was convicted. And if she was convicted, and I hate saying that because I really don't like defendants or their attorneys, if she was convicted, there is no way in hell Wendy would not be convicted in this town. There's just no way. If Denise Williams, and they bring up to me the life insurance, she had a kid. Brian Winchester's dad owned an insurance company. He fought to get them insurance, their insurance payout. If he hadn't fought to get that insurance payout, Brian Winchester's father, there wouldn't have been an insurance payout. He stood up and was like, insurance is a miracle. I'm sorry. If you watch Mr. and Mrs. Murder, I'm not saying Denise Williams is a nice person. She's not. You can see it in her face. But convicted of murder, after the fact, maybe, and even then, I think they dropped that charge. You can get Wendy. If you can get Denise Williams, you can get Wendy. You may not get life. You may get after the fact, before the fact, something like that. But she will be spending time in jail. You just have to ask. It's like, I told this girl, she's a woman, she's not a girl. I told this woman, she said, well, I'm kind of hesitant to do something. It's about sales. And I said, I have to tell you, I've spent the majority of my years hesitant Up until about 56, I was hesitant. Now I'm no longer hesitant. You have to ask a jury to convict. You don't know if there's a conviction. I don't understand this MO of I'm only going to convict if I get a conviction. I don't even understand that. I understand after they got burned by doing Sigfredo and Katie Magbanua at the same time. I get the weight. I do kind of get the strategy. I don't always agree, but I get it. I don't understand how these fools, and I'm sorry, I'm a female. I'm not an attorney, but I live as a citizen of this town, would say she is not guilty. There's just no way. You do a change of, I'll even give you a change of venue for Wendy Adelson. I'll even give you that. You get her a change of venue. You take her to any town in North Florida. She will be convicted. There's no way she won't be convicted. The calendar alone, the drive-by alone, the bullet bourbon, the maybe doctored invitation from the chick who was having the stop the bar party. The I'm not ever speaking to my in-laws ever again, turn around and run out of town. The movers at the house on Cameron Chase. The way she behaved at the memorial service, that place is not much bigger than my office. You can't miss talking to someone at that temple. There's no way. The parking lot isn't even the parking lot of your average CVS. That's how small it is. CVS is a drugstore here. There's no way. They chose not to speak to the Markells. It's the only way. There's one way in and one way out of that parking lot. You loop in, turn around, go around the building to get out. You can't go out the way you come in. You got to go around the building. That parking lot maybe has 70 spots, maybe. There's no way you would not see the Markells and not speak to them. You have to intentionally turn your back to avoid them. The only reason to do that is you were a party to that murder. You don't have to like people. I didn't like my first mother-in-law. Well, the world knows. But I still would say hello. Not for me, but for my kids. And we didn't get along at all. So there's no way. If logic is the path of a conviction, it's all right there. You could do a 2-day trial. It doesn't have to be 6 days. You just show her previous testimony. I didn't go on a dating site when you fucking did. I didn't plan that it would be Jeff Lacoste, that I didn't ask him his schedule and hope he was back. And I was sad he changed the date because now I couldn't use him as a patsy. You intentionally destroyed Dan Markel. Intentionally. Everything you could do. Financially, you wanted money you weren't owed. You lied about your inheritance. How is that not evidence of motive? I don't. But that's what pisses me off about this interview. People go to the prosecution and you got to ask and blah. What? What? Are you serious? There's evidence. You can't get all of the other people and not have Wendy. Charlie never came to Tallahassee. Ever. Charlie didn't talk to Dan. They didn't like each other. There's only one way to know. That was my thing with Denise Williams too. Mr. and Mrs. Murder on Hulu. Definitely watch it. It's very good. Wendy even called the life insurance the next day to claim she was a grieving widow. She wasn't entitled. I think Kathy Bates should play Mrs. Markel instead of the attorney. Oh, that would be good. She's really good on that lawyer show she's on now. Wendy's testimony that Craig Isom was a joke, looking guilty as ever, laughing like she is happy that he's gone. Always have her head in her hands. Always. When she's crying. Ooh, come on. What? What? What do you mean? What do you mean? Not where are my freak? I got to get to my kids. I got to get to my kids. Their dad is dead. Kelly Clarkson. No love lost for her ex-husband, right? No love lost. What did she do? I got to cancel this stuff because I got to go be there for my kids. Lawyer up. How the hell did Wendy get John Lauro in 48 hours? Who was that connection? Dan's IRA deferred comp, the $350 she took out of the bank account, the Pearl Harbor divorce. Keep going, Patty. It's true. There is no way you cannot get a conviction, but you have to ask. You know, hesitancy gets you nowhere. Wendy not even wanting to go be with Dan in the hospital killed me. You speak to the Markells because of their son died a terrible death, which you aren't even supposed to know how he died. Whether it was a drive-by shooting, like she said, a disgruntled student, blah, blah, blah. She didn't even want to go to the hospital. She had someone else pick up her kids. She knew her kids weren't in danger. Did you hear her on the phone with Lisa Carey? This is my realtor, Lisa Carey. Hey, Wendy, I saw that you, I heard about a shooting on your street, and I was just checking to see if you and the kids and Dan were okay. Wait a minute. Lisa Carey, who is salt of the earth, sweetest woman, lovely, absolutely lovely, fantastic real estate agent, and I don't say that about everybody, calls Wendy to check on her. And Wendy doesn't call on anyone else to check on them. She called the school to check on her kids? Nope. Why didn't she call to check on her kids? Lisa Carey is calling to check on your children and you don't call anybody. I'm not trying to throw Lisa on the witness bus, but we all saw her demeanor. Hold on one second. We all saw her demeanor. I got to take another Pepsid. When this happened, like, come on. No, I'm sorry. You got to ask for the conviction. I have to ask for the sale of a house. I have to say, hey, this great house is for sale. Would you like to go see it? They're not jumping in the car automatically to come visit with me. You know what I'm saying? Lawyers are salespeople. They have to be. This is a Pepsid. I'm not doing that. I'm not. It's so irritating to me. And it almost feels like, I'm not saying he's referring to me, but I did ask Jack Campbell now a couple years ago, feels like anyway, when are you going to arrest Wendy? When are you going to charge Wendy? And he said, it's Georgia. Georgia's, you know, they got to do this, they got to do that. It's Georgia. Fine. He never said there was no evidence. There's got to be evidence. We don't have enough evidence. This is the other reason why it pisses me the hell off. And I know I'm beating on a dead horse, literally, because Andrew Wiley is dead. But that sweet child of God, Lori Page, was killed by her father June 2nd. Reported as a runaway. June 3rd. They never checked the dumpster. They never checked the car. They gave him 9 months to get rid of everything. Everything. Everything that was available as evidence was either destroyed or got rid of. The best thing that ever happened to that state attorney office when it comes to Lori Page or that police department, guarantee you, was that pulmonary embolism of Andrew Wiley, which is what killed him. Because that arrest affidavit is bullshit. 2/3 of it is inaccurate. He would have been let go. He would have been let go. I don't even know how you fix that. But I'm not an attorney, so I don't know how you fix that shoddily written of arrest affidavit. But if I can pick out those mistakes and I'm just a realtor, what's a jury going to do with real evidence and timing? And what's a defense attorney going to do? You got to care. And I do believe the state attorney office cares, but I also believe in this town, they're so freaking hesitant. You can't get a conviction on a hit and run in this town. I wish the feds would come here. There are just, it is horrendous. So people ask me all the time, I'm coming to the trial, where's safe? Your house, that's where it's safe. Your house is where it's safe. People are running up and across the street, jaywalking. It's disgusting. This is a liberal town run by very liberal Democrats, and it's c'est la vie. If you want to go to the bus stop and toke up and put a heroin syringe in your arm, you can do that. God help the poor little old ladies trying to get on the bus because that's their only way to get to the grocery store. But the unhoused addicts need a bus stop cover. What? No, they don't. They can go over there with a trash can. Get rid of this. No. This is why I can never run for office. It's ridiculous. Hesitant. You know, you got to have evidence. Swear to God, 15, Willie Megg said there's no evidence to convict. No evidence to convict. Sigfredo, right off the bat. Lewis took a deal. Katie, second time around, right off the bat. And the only reason she wasn't convicted the first time was some numbnut on the jury who was pregnant at the time shouldn't have been on there because she was like, there's no way I'm going to convict the mother. You should be contempt of court. Because how dare you sit on a jury when you were already predisposed to make that decision? How does that even happen? Nobody, rules are meant to be just trashed. But if you think for 1 minute, Wendy Adelson cannot go down for this crime, I don't even know what float you're on, because you're paid for by the defense, paid for by the Adelsons, or you just haven't paid attention to any crime ever. Denise Williams can be convicted of killing Mike Williams. She went on the lake. She didn't shoot him. She didn't have waders on. She had her kid. Then that woman can be convicted because there's far more evidence that Wendy was complicit, knew it was going to happen, helped it happen than anybody else. And I still believe Wendy was the one walking down Trescott with whoever, with the dogs, was it? With the dogs, and Lewis said he saw her. How would Lewis ever not know? He would know. He had the picture. He couldn't read English. So he had a photo. How on earth is that not evidence? And past my time limit. I have hope that if Charlie loses his appeal, he might expose Wendy. Charlie is going to lose his appeal. He's lost everything so far. He's not going to, he would lose his, I don't know, he'll never speak to his mother again, right? I bet Mandy Patinkin would play Mr. Markel. Ooh, That's a good one. Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal is Danny Markel. Adelson's had Willie Meg's friend in the pocket, Willie and influence. And Willie Meggs is still alive. We have lived under that crime. Ugh. Fulford as a past judge seems very crooked to me. She knows the ins and the outs. And what is she willing to do? I'm telling you, it's coming. The state should try Wendy and Harvey together. I am absolutely on nails to see the electronic evidence that Donna's devices have on them. I know. And they have tried so hard to get rid of Chris Corbett. So hard to get rid of Chris Corbett. Chris Corbett, if you're just watching now, is the sergeant who does all the telephone data and the celebrate polls, that kind of thing. If they weren't working on Louis Rico charge, DM may still be alive today. Anyone driving without a license with a gun in the car would have been arrested. True. I just ordered a t-shirt on Etsy that reads, I am not stupid. You are not, Leslie. Wendy hated the mundane life of caring for two rambunctious toddlers and not getting a career off the ground. Jackson says, I wrote Willie Meggs asking he apologizes for the case. Did he do it? I don't think so. Sebastian Rogers, zero evidence is what law enforcement keeps saying. She was at the scene of the crime. What are the chances? And then, what are the chances that her same vehicle was driven by the police officer blocking the road? They aren't getting any more evidence than they have now. It's now or never. Fulford reminds me of the creepy old priest guy from Poltergeist. And let's not forget that Jackie Fulford, and I'm not even going to say allegedly, faked cancer. Stephen Webster would not come out and say that if it wasn't true. And that is Donna's defense attorney. Patty is so right. I'm having a t-shirt made up that says Patty is right. Ooh, I want to have one for my husband. Amy Adler is beautiful, brilliant, and respected professional. Oh, yeah, she didn't like that at all. She didn't like when Amy spoke to her child on Zoom. Wait, you have the forethought of a pissant because you break up your marriage, your family. You have a Pearl Harbor divorce. You take half of everything, probably half the forks, you numbnut. And then you don't expect him, a good-looking guy who's super smart and very talented, to get a new girl? You didn't have the forethought of a pissant. You just didn't. Even Jane asked Isom if anything was taken. That thought never occurred to Wendy because she knew who shot Danny and why. That's a great statement, Yoo-hoo. That's a great statement. She knew. She knew it wasn't a theft. Patty is right. There is no way Wendy won't be. I hope they give her a change of venue. Give her the change of venue because that would make it easily fair and square, and she'll be convicted. Because there would be no. I hope they should go to Gainesville, another liberal town. Guarantee you, she will be convicted. Wendy was jealous of Dan's CV. Amy was also Ivy educated, bothered Wendy so much. Plus, she was prettier. Amy Adler's really an attractive woman. They tried to. Jonathan Adler, who's Amy Adler's brother, is a beautiful designer. Mid-century modern style, like absolutely beautiful. Amy Adler had been married before. What did Wendy pop out of her damn mouth, big ass trap she has, and say that it was possibly Amy Adler's ex-husband? Why would you say that? Because an ex could get pissed enough to have something done about their husband, right? See, whenever someone tells tales They always tell a little bit of the truth. So why would you pin this murder on Amy Adler's ex-husband out of jealousy if you yourself wouldn't be seen as being a jealous ex? I'd never put that together until right now. In my heart of hearts, I believe Georgia wants Wendy, and I believe justice is coming in that regard. I hope so. But whenever I hear even side, a prosecuting attorney or a defense attorney say, in this case specifically, there is not enough evidence to convict Wendy, I lose my lunch. Like, it literally, I had to take a Pepsi. I can't take it. She also tried to put it on Jeff Lacoste. Oh my God, Patty is right again. Anytime lies start coming out of someone's mouth, we all need to remember there's always a tiny bit of truth. That's the only way they can even attempt to remember. So if you're going after Amy Adler's ex-husband, which I still, to this day, do not even know the man's name. And it's not Adler, because Adler's her maiden name. Who's an ex? Why would he be jealous of Dan Markel? They didn't have an affair. They had just met. Amy didn't like flying. She didn't want to have to go to Tallahassee very often. But if they were going to make it work, she was going to have to get on a plane. That's how a lot of people feel about living in Manhattan, right? They don't want to leave their island. That woman is so guilty. What's she going to do? Sue me? The one thing I don't understand in this case is why, and I'm sure there's a good reason, I just don't know it. Unlike the Crystal Rogers case, and it could be Florida law, I don't know. Sherry Rogers last year, once Brooks Houck was arrested, filed, even before the conviction, filed a wrongful death suit. What stops the parents of Dan Markel from filing a wrongful death suit against Wendy Adelson? Can't plead the fifth, it's civil. It's not really the same. And there's far less evidence involved. And even if they never saw a dime, they're never going to see a dime, right? Sherry Ballard, the mother of Crystal Rogers, has a grandson who was only 2 at the time that Crystal Rogers was murdered and fed to some animals, because that's likely what happened. He is 13 now. She filed the wrongful death suit. She knows that that relationship is likely lost. They can't, under Florida law, their grandchildren. It has to be the kids. Oh no, Patty. Wendy kind of insinuated to Isom that Dan possibly was cheating on her with Adler, who he knew for a few years. I believe the term with Wendy is a bitch. I don't care. I mean, you wouldn't even need to see a dime. You wouldn't even need to see a dime. Amy Adler still looks 20 years younger than Wendy. Well, that means she looks 60 years younger than Jackie Fulford. What is this? True Crime Wifey. Adalberto Jordan, the federal appeals court judge in Miami, who was Wendy's boss. Something happened over Memorial Day weekend in 2016 that caused Sostrom to unseal the probable cause 7 days after he sealed it. Yeah, that was in the news here a while back. None of us will be happy until Wendy is arrested. And she's living her best life. Teeth to the hilt. Like, she is not at all, she's not hiding behind any images, photos, teeth to the hilt. beachy hair she got going. This is my favorite photo. And then I'll let you all go. Somebody make room for this lady. Come on, where's the picture? Oh my God, I love this photo so much. I think I'm going to make this my profile photo. Imagine when the boys do find out the whole truth. Hope they have some major therapists lined up. Their whole life will have been a lie. The washroom guard, that's Honeycutt Morgan. Pretty name. Is Honeycutt returning? I don't know if they're still friends. I mean, Wendy's kind of like Meghan Markle, right? She just does away with people, or they do away with her, like Sarah Youssef. Her boyfriend might be bright as far as his job, but dumb as a rock when it comes to Wendy. This is, yeah, I might make this my cover photo. Seriously. Jeff Burlew, reporter for the Tallahassee Democrat, just took this with his phone. Wendy's book makes her look guilty as well. Thank you, JCP. Yeah, that's like number 10 on the list. Not even. This is the toilet guard. John, I think you have a song. Morgan Honeycutt. This is the woman. If you see when Donna Adelson was arrested and her phone, she's holding her phone. Let me see. Let me hide this. If you see her phone, she's like this and she's being arrested. Morgan Honeycutt, this chick is on the phone. Cow. That is one angry looking dude sitting on the bench next to Wendy. This is an amazing job. Let me show you what Photoshop can do to people. Photoshop. Let me see if I can find a good picture of her. I don't know what year this was in. You know what I'm saying? Photoshop. She's like a WWE chick. Look at her. She looks more manly than I do. Morgan Honeycutt. I'll add it to my character name list in my fiction book. He is definitely thinking with his penis. Wendy's magic hoo-ha. Morgan, the bodyguard Honeycutt. Yes, Wendy and Morgan are the same. I foresee Markel and Markel Law Firm run by Dan. I hope so. The picture is priceless. And look at her there. Uninvolved. The world, nothing matters to her. Her brother's in there. Nothing matters. Her brother is on trial and she is acting like the world is at her oyster. No, that's not me. Lord have mercy. That's her. Chick. She looks kind of like Dog the Bounty Hunter in the photo. That is the beauty of Photoshop. Facetune, Photoshop. I don't know why I keep losing it. It's right there. Wendy's oldest son must know something's up with the whole month. And I'm going to go back to Denise Williams. Denise Williams' daughter, Ansley, is, God, she was 19. It was her birthday the day her mother was arrested. So that's been several years. So she's in her late 20s. She still has nothing to do with Mike Williams' family. It reminds me of that Kardashian meme. Stop taking pictures of yourself, Kim. Your sister's going to jail. That's funny, Ball. Is Morgan 6 feet tall? She looks it. She's a big girl. I'll tell you what. If that photo was of me and my chins look like that, I'd be pissed. Which brother? The one here today. Wendy wouldn't even say his name in Charlie's trial. Leslie, that's a good one too. It's just disgusting. There's a space launch in 19 minutes. We don't get to see it anymore. I learned something today. Wendy, 30 minutes after pic was taken. I don't know. Hopefully Robert will be able to talk to them someday. That's really what needs to happen. Yeah, Joe Patuto brought this up last night about Kristen's comment, and Georgia didn't ask Wendy so many things because she had immunity. That was smart on Georgia's part. The reason being, with use immunity, they have to stop. If she answers a question, she's immune. She is 27 years old, no contact with Michelle, her grandmother. How did Wendy learn that in the trial she was supposed to be sequestered? Wendy's shoe is an 8.5. Oh, the best of our times are 50s and 60s, Karen. That's 100% true. I'm headed to the 60s. Wendy's been brainwashing them for years. I just don't like her. I'm going to go. I just thought that was a great photo. And with that, can't look forward to next week any more than I do. Thank you all for joining me for these 2.5 hours. I really appreciate it very much. I hope you guys have a great evening. Go enjoy your family, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.